I have to start it myself, apparently. Thank you, YouTube, for explaining that to me by not explaining that to me. God damn it!
YouTube is being very mean today.
God.
And I can see it. It started.
I am a broken man. I am a broken man. Holy crap. And it's in the server. I no longer have to do anything else except do this stupid special.
You're okay, hon.
It's not even supposed to have a live chat, by the way. That's not supposed to be a thing. But apparently, fuck it, you know?
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna take a drink and then I'm gonna start this horrible crap. All right. Breathing.
You got this.
I don't got this at all.
Yes,
We believe in you.
I am a broken man.
We believe in you.
Hey, that's honestly sometimes what makes the best comedy. I mean, look at Dane Cook.
Yes.
Please
Oh my
don't compare me to Dane Cook.
haven't heard
Oh God, I'm hurt.
I haven't-
I'm bleeding out from that one.
I haven't heard his name in like years. Oh my
Excuse
god.
There's a reason for that. He wasn't funny.
I found him funny.
Excuse me, I love Dane Cook.
I found him funny, okay?
Tough crowd already. Jesus.
Hey.
All right. Let's get the shit show on the road. Hello, everybody. You will know me as Ichabod or Watch or Note or whatever the hell you want to know me as. But I have been at this for 3 years and about an hour of technical problems. Welcome to Trash Opinions. I have been trying to do this comedy special for 3 goddamn years. The last time I had it all set up and ready to go, I had it planned at a club in Lawrence. Beautiful little club. Wonderful owner. I've known him for a few years. And then the coronavirus hit. So here it is. The world death virus sweeps in and fucks up my comedy special this time. But no, let's go into this. I had a whole spiel set up for this, but you know what? Let's go into the technical problems before just an hour ago. Number one, I tried to record it just using my OBS system. Kept cutting out. Bunch of lags, bunch of cutting into like didn't work. Decided to try and have somebody else do it. That was our lovely friend Quill. She's in here with us today. Everybody give it up for Quill for a moment.
You all owe me a
Yay.
fucking cookie.
Who managed to fix Eden's technical problem, which was the fact that every time there's been a stream that Eden has done for the past like 6 months, you can't hear anybody. Apparently it was an audio issue. It was kind of the audio issue that I thought it was, but it wasn't that audio issue. It was a different audio issue because for some reason something else was broken. I started the show for the first time with a full beer, and now I am probably about well over a fourth of the way down. So through all of this, we finally get it going. The audio issue is fixed. And then my Discord explodes. Doesn't want to work. And then I figure out, even further after that not only has YouTube completely changed everything, it has not only decided to change everything, it also means that I have to go to the YouTube page specifically and hit go live, or else it records nothing. I have done this beginning set twice now, and I hated it both times. But through the concept of doing Trash Opinions, I've been trying to get it set up for three solid years. And it seemed like this show has been cursed. And I appreciate the people who even just in this time sat back and put up with me raging and losing my mind over the concept that something's just not working. And I think we all deal with that a lot. these little things, like something small becomes insurmountable, not because it actually is insurmountable, but because everything else has piled up in front of it and it's just a pin behind the wall of crap we've already dealt with. But you can get over that wall. You can, and I promise. But welcome to Trash Opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 years in the making, still fucking hate it.
Hey, I'm proud of you, honey.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about in this show, and it's been a long time coming, is the concept of when I say the phrase, I hate people. I hate people the way that somebody hates a bonfire that's slowly overtaking their town. The bonfire's nice on its own, but when it starts burning your house down, you start having a problem. I love individuals. I love people's individuality, what they manage as a person. Whole, I fucking hate people because if you think about it in a pessimistic sort of way, every single solitary human being that has ever existed is still a person, which means everybody you've ever hated or disliked is a person. But you never really learn about the individuality of a prick. You don't. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are just horrible. And you don't want to learn about what this asshole's dog's name was. Nobody asks what Hitler's cat was named. Nobody cares. Scheisserkatz. Nobody cares what Hitler's cat was named because he was a prick. Napoleon was afraid of cats. Why do I know that? Middle school. Did a teacher tell me that? No, it was in the fucking planner.
Oh my god.
If you ever remember those things, like they came out with these like daily when I was in high school. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to. And these planners had like fun facts at the bottom of it. Allurophobia is the fear of cats. I know Napoleon had it. What does that add to Napoleon as a person? Nothing, but I feel he's more of an individual than Hitler.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Fuck Hitler and fuck Hitler's cat. That's all I'm saying.
Come on, the cat didn't do anything.
I mean, the cat
It
was
was
goose stepping
owned-
right alongside
It was
his boss.
owned by Hitler.
If-
That
if
should
you-
be enough.
If you don't think that the cat was just as complacent in the genocide as anybody else, I don't think you're. Have you ever met a cat? Cats are hateful animals. Individual cats, perfectly fine. Cats as a whole would eat you before the dog.
Oh my gosh.
And I know it seems like I'm going on a lot of different tangents, and I am, but that's kind of the nature of how I try to do this shit. I've seen a lot of comedians that go down the road a little bit differently. Like they'll set up really specific jokes, and then I'm waiting for them to hit home. I like to do this a little more organically, which is the exact opposite of how I like my food. Organic food is shit. I'm just saying. Don't get me wrong. I will make organic food. I just won't eat it.
That's understandable.
No.
Yeah.
Now is the time for what we like to refer to as sad boy hours, because these are stories from my childhood that nobody likes to hear. Don't get me wrong, I love these stories. These are the stories of why I still exist. But for those of you who may have an issue with someone getting the crap kicked out of them, being shot, traumatized, or thrown off of a variety of buildings, maybe not the time for you guys. So, like every other, young man who is born with brothers, we beat the shit out of each other on a regular basis. Not just to the concept of, oh, I'm gonna punch you because you're my brother. No, my brother, the middle brother, set me on fire. Now, this is a great story because I lived. It'd be a lot different of a story if I hadn't. Like, if I'd have died, people would be sad about this. I'd be putting it on an epitaph or something.
It's like, not
So-
today, Satan.
Not today, Satan.
What do
So,
we say to Satan, kids? Not today.
So I had been laying in my bed. I had come down with a horrible cold. I couldn't smell anything, couldn't breathe, about ready to vomit. So I get up and I go to the bathroom and I just, it's all coming out. I come back and I lay down. I didn't notice anything except for the bed was wet. I thought that I had been profusely because I was that sick. I lay down on the bed and I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. Kind of hard to breathe, wasn't entirely sure, fell asleep anyway because Ambien, thank you. So I fall asleep. And then all of a sudden it's kind of hot and I'm awake and I'm like, wow, it's really hot all of a sudden. And then I open up the eyes and yeah, everything's on fire. I roll out of bed, find out the entire fucking mattress is engulfed. And I have to grab this thing and drag it out of the house. And keep in mind, like, if you've ever seen a twin size mattress, regular size, or you got to fold that shit, so you've got burned arms by the end of this. Get it outside, whop it down, and it's still on fire. And I just sit down, and I'm confused as to what the fuck happened. Here comes Caleb laughing his ass off. My brother, born of blood, set me on fire. And said the phrase hot enough for you. Yeah, asshole, it is. I was on fire. There's nothing quite like having semi-homicidal siblings. That same brother decided at a different time to, if you've ever played Hacky Sack, it's the game where you drop the little ball full of sand down and you just kind of kick it back up. Well, he had gotten one of these things full of lead BBs. And a hunting slingshot. Now, who wants to guess what happened after that? If your guess was he winged it off the side of my head, you'd be wrong. If your guess was he winged it off my chest, back, arms, or legs, you'd be wrong. No, he managed to fire it out of a hunting slingshot of a draw of about 15 pounds right in the nuts. You could hear me sing a cappella through the fucking void. And it wasn't as bad as I thought until I realized afterwards. Did he whistle at me before he did it? No, that was the sound of the BB slinging through the air. He didn't like pull it back a little bit either. Like it was all the way back right to the full tensile strength of murder and just from a distance. There's so many stories like that, but the main ones I want to touch down upon right now is number one, duck and cover, which you're going to figure out why I call it duck and cover in a minute. And beforehand, I'm going to tell you about my father. Now, my father, he was a Marine. He went into the Corps when he was probably about 18, 19. Stayed that way for a very long time. And then got dishonorably discharged. Mainly because he wouldn't stop making dick jokes. Apparently, that's unprofessional. Well, he did it to local politicians and wrote them a letter about how he wanted to skin their family.
Oh my god.
So I come from a stable family. Regardless. So, my father was an ex-Marine. And one day, he decided he was going to take us out shooting. Now, he had an old 22 long rifle, which is what he used to teach us how to shoot. And by teach us how to shoot, I mean he lined us up and said, okay, I'm going to drink this beer. And you're going to run. Whoever gets hit loses. So we bolt because at this point, I'm maybe 8, 9. And at this point, I have come to realize that my father means it when he says run. So we're running. And he gets about halfway through beer. Then chugs it. Drops it. And proceeds to fire at us. Now, we're supposed to be ducking and covering, but he neglected to mention this to me. So I was just running in a straight line because, hey, what's the shortest distance between two places? A straight line. You know what also a straight line does? Make you a really easy target. So, in comes the bullet. Pops me right through the shoulder. I go forward, roll for a little bit, and I'm crying. Because, you know, what is naturally a kid going to do when they get shot? They're going to cry. I go back to Dad. Because he's the only person that I quote-unquote loved at the time. And I'm complaining that it hurts. So I have to sit outside while he sleeps it off. And in the morning, we go to the hospital, and what do I say? Well, if you're an abused kid, you know one thing. What do we tell the doctor when we go in? I fell.
Yeah.
It's stories like this that really showcase how people survive in a way, because I really get to the point as a human being where I come to this like understanding that like I've been through some shit, sure, but other people may have been through more shit than I have. And one of the weirdest things is like when I have a memory that my brothers don't remember exactly the same. Because if you ever hear my brother tell you that story, he's going to say that I was only down for a couple hours. Uh, I remember it far differently because I remember the sun going down and coming back up. And I remember my dad couldn't fucking shoot at night. He wouldn't even drive at night. So the sun going down means that it had been more than a couple of hours. But that's the funny thing about memory is because of how young we were, we didn't really process it all that correctly. The only reason I do is because, well, light go away, light come back up. Ow. Ow is just the only way. Like, the only reason I say that my memory supersedes theirs is because I was bleeding. So the next story I'm going to tell you is the one that's really super sad. And this is one of the ones that truly defines me as a person. And I apologize ahead of time for the amount of tears that come out of this story. Trust me, I lived through it. It's not that bad. So I was about 9 years old. I'm drinking because it's hard to bring up. So I was about 9 years old. My mother and father had been plastered out of their fucking mind. We had been living in Dodge City at the time. My mom comes out and lines me and my two brothers up. As like a fucking ruler going downwards. I was the youngest, so I didn't really do a whole lot of anything. But we go down to this point and we understand that here it is. This is the situation. Mom's got us lined up. And she says, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick which parent you're staying with. We didn't know what she meant. We're getting divorced. We still didn't know what she meant. Then Dad came in and cracked Mom with a bottle. And then we all knew what was going on. So we're sitting there, standing in the thing, trying to figure out which parent we're going to go with. Josh doesn't want to leave me or my other brother with Dad. But nobody wants to leave Dad alone because we think Dad's going to kill himself. So I end up staying with Dad. My other two brothers go with Mom. And the next morning, everything was fine. They acted like nothing happened.
Okay.
Imagine dealing with that on a regular basis. This is not a single one-time, one-day thing that happens every once in a while. This is regular. So eventually, one time we all just decide we're all going with Mom. Just to see what Dad would do. What ends up happening is Dad calls AA. Now, I don't know if you understand why I hate AA as a concept. The major reason is because they take a certain kind of path to becoming sober, to reaching sobriety. And that path is through Jesus.
What the hell?
Alcoholism requires somebody a little more present. Somebody who's going to sit there and hang out with you. So Dad ends up calling AA and proceeds to convert the AA guy out of going to AA. So when we come back, Dad's sitting there with who was supposed to be his sponsor, drinking.
What?
Charismatic old man. Fuck. Segues are weird. Nah, shit, you not. Like this is the saddest stories that I have, but they're also the only ones I have that are actually relevant to anything. I almost wish I dreamed them. There we go. That's a segue. So, I am an avid player of something called Dungeons and Dragons. If you know what Dungeons and Dragons is, give me a brief set of applause if you know what Dungeons and Dragons.
Woo! Yeah.
I love D&D, but I have also slowly begun to realize that D&D hates me. there's a lot of people out there that will play D&D and they do it from one of two mindsets. One mindset is that I love the numbers, but I hate people. That's mindset one. Number two is I love people and interaction and the role play, but I can't be fucked to learn the numbers. That's where I like to go. If I can sit there and play a story and never have to make a single fucking roll and just do all of the greatest tales of imaginable concepts, that is what I would rather do. I would rather never have to pick up a single dice and roll that shit if I could get a great story. Unfortunately, my dreams do not agree.
Oh no.
And I hate that I wrote this like a year ago because I've been meaning to tell somebody about this story for forever. I had a dream where it was me
Timer
and a few
notification
other
here.
friends at the time, and we were sitting there trying to come up with the concept of how do we make a great story. And for some reason, nobody would talk until I rolled high enough on a d20. And I wanted to slap these people because it was like, okay, we should come up with a story. Roll. Nobody says anything. Roll. Nobody says anything. Roll. Nobody says anything. Roll. Nobody says anything. What the fuck is wrong with you people? You didn't roll high enough persuasion. Fuck you!
Wow. Oh my god.
It got so bad that I ended up waking up and calling my buddy. He's been on the show every once in a while. He went by Mechanic. He runs Dirt Roadman, but it had gotten so bad I called him at 4 a.m. and said, "Fuck you, roll for persuasion." It's 4 in the morning and he had no idea what I was talking about. He was at work. So I've called what I consider my best friend, one of the few that I've managed to keep over the years because I'm an unlikable prick, at 4 in the morning, and he's sitting on the other side of the phone like, "What?" And I said, "Roll for persuasion." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He had no idea. He was so fucking confused. And then I finally wake up and said, "What the fuck is going on?" He said, "I don't know, you called me." And I said, "I had the most fucked up dream." Told him the whole story. He's like, "Go to sleep." Insomnia is terrible. I hate it.
Oh
See, I wrote this show originally to be like over an hour and a half long. I can't do that anymore. I don't have that kind of gas. So we're now going to move in, once again, slightly segueing with all of the grace of a hippopotamus being hit by a freight train into political shit. I am fascinated by what the Democratic Party has been doing right now. Keep in mind, I was a blue dog Democrat all the way into my late 20s. That was just the area I liked. I liked the concept of helping people. I liked the concept of, things like universal health care and a universal basic income, that kind of shit. And then I actually really started looking into it, but yeah, these are good, but how the fuck do we pay? And I still haven't gotten an answer.
That's a good question.
But we run down to this concept that's really much more the problem. What the fuck is the Democratic Party doing? Like, we have been rolling for president, twice for Democrats. And we've gotten to the point where first we tried to elect a warhawk who used to be a Republican who called African Americans super predators. Thanks for that, Hillary. And now into somebody who couldn't tell you his own fucking name as president. Now, like, this is the thing. They had so many potentially really good candidates on the board. Kamala Harris could have done something if she hadn't decided to literally go up to her closet, pull it open wide, grab one of the skeletons by the head, and then face fuck it into the world. That was a problem. Hi, these are the skeletons in my closet. Let me show you how I play. Kamala really needed to see that shit. That's not what you do with a nose bone. And then we had Yang, the one Asian man that can't do math, No offense to people of an Asian descent, but Jesus
We
Christ,
love you.
how are you just gonna shovel $1,000 at people? You are not Jay-Z at the club. Calm the fuck down. You can't just make it rain on the populace and get a vote. I mean, you can just ask Bloomberg, but Bloomberg fucked it up too. How can you be as rich as fucking God, what the fuck was his name? Bill Gates. How can
Bill
you be as rich as Bill Gates yet as unpopular as Trump's left nut?
Oh my god.
Only one person likes that, and it's not Ivanka.
I feel bad for kids.
And then we come to the golden child, Tulsi Gabbard, the one who could have beaten Trump if they'd actually shoved her ass on the stage, who for some reason everybody wanted to bullwhip off the stage. And that's the problem. That's what I really see that's going wrong with our, like, I would consider my Democratic Party, the people who want to work for the people. They don't want to win. They took a man whose most prominent picture is him snorting a little girl like cocaine.
Oh my god.
If you wanted to get an old man snorting shit off a stripper from the 60s, throw Eddie Murphy in there. At least he's fun. God damn. But no, they took Biden in there. It wouldn't be as bad if Biden wasn't like the figurehead for everything fucked up with politics these days. Just a confused old man walking down the road, doesn't know where he is, but by God, I should be the president. God damn it. And then poor old Bernie. Poor old Bernie.
Oh, Bernie.
He walks out there every year.
Yeah, he
with-
did dropped out.
He walks out there every year with the ball gag on, waiting to get butt fucked by the Democratic Party again. At this point, he's just a masochist. He just wants it.
Poor Bernie.
Speaking of politics, apparently Kim Jong-un died today.
So it is canon. So it is okay.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
No,
Like,
this is
after-
today's atmosphere, we gotta
because
have
I was
actual
waiting for
proof.
like exactly confirmation. Did he actually die, or is someone like making a prank saying that he died? Is it like
that's the
is it
thing.
actual thing that he actually died?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like there has been a couple of there's been a couple of stories that came out here recently that were that Kim Jong-un had died or he got brain cancer, and then like a day later the journalist came out like, I'm sorry, it was something from Twitter. Like, why the fuck are you looking at Twitter for fucking information? Twitter's the place that tells you that Joe Biden rode down the fucking river on a full inflatable nude Trump. It's not real, it's a meme, motherfucker. God damn it. But this is life. This is life living in the current Democratic Party. This is life living in the current political climate. You can't even take things that should be real and know if they're real or not. Oh my God. The Onion has come out with like 4 or 5 articles that seem really real these days. And it's just because everything's so fucked. At the end of the day, this is what we run into. This is our world. This is our situation we're living in. Careful. I'm going to say something that's going to get me demonetized. Clown World. Honk honk. There's just too many people out there that just everything ridiculous has become the reality. And this is what brings us to part 5 of my little special here. What I hate about the internet and the glory of the internet. This is relatively short and a very, very basic concept of all of this. It's the idea that there's 5 things I hate about the internet, and then there's 5 glories of the internet. And I'm going to list them in tandem, and I'm going to see if any of you can figure out which ones are which. We have the concept of massive communication, being able to talk to another person at any point in time in the world, ever.
Glory.
That's 1. Number 2,
Glory.
We also have the capability of taking somebody who is perfectly acceptable and a normal human being and shoving them so far into the dirt that nobody wants to hang out with them anymore.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Then we go into the process of we can make video games that can be spread throughout worldwide and never have to have anybody pay a dime. Number 2, we have EA.
Oh God! No, get that heat away from there.
You can make friends in a single second of somebody that you will never meet in person because they live in what fucking bumfuck China. Surprisingly, actually a town, bumfuck. Next to that, there's also the concept that you can make an enemy of somebody you've never met before and will never meet. This is another situation. You can have a full, long-term, fruitful relationship with somebody. You can have a full, long-term, fruitful relationship with somebody you're not even attracted to in shipping. I don't feel that I need to say anything aside from the word shipping. They know that we're brothers, right? I don't think they care. And I can have a billion things good said about me every day of the rest of my life. And one negative thing can ruin it all. And that's the worst thing I hate about the internet. It's the fact that one day, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you've done, doesn't matter if you're the best person in the world, one crossword with a big enough audience, and it's over. And that's what I fucking hate about the internet.
Yeah.
And see, that's how you bring down a room really fucking fast.
Like he's not wrong.
So you go into this world and you have to understand one thing that I really think that not a lot of people get, because there's so much of this thing of positivity in the world that they don't seem to understand that negativity is a necessity. I understand that there's a lot of people out there that need this like constant flow of positive reinforcement or else they will collapse upon themselves. But I think that negative is not necessarily a bad thing. And that's why I want to say one very particular thing in that note. You have to learn to laugh at yourself. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anything really fully and wholeheartedly. I have met some amazing people on the internet. I've met some amazing people that I wish there was so many more of. And a lot of them are here in my audience today. I mean, I cannot begin to tell you how much I love the positivity and the acceptance that I get from Eden. I can't begin to tell you how much I love the creativity and the supremely positive outlook that I get from Quill. I can't begin to tell you how much I love Prose's sense of humor, or how much I love that Mish, even though she feels a little brought out sometimes during the various D&D campaigns we give, still keeps pulling on and kicking in that determination that you cannot replicate. People are amazing, and you see them every single day. But they have to recognize that in themselves, because if you don't recognize that like wholehearted feeling of you are valuable within yourself, you slowly start to spiral downwards. And that's what I do. I do that constantly. And the reason for it isn't necessarily because I hate myself. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When I sit there and I deprecate myself, or I call myself a horrible person or an asshole, it's because I want to laugh at it, because I know deep down I have negative parts of my own personality. And to bring out those negative parts is to learn to laugh at them, to change them. We all have things that we dislike about ourselves. And being able to look at those aspects of ourselves and shut them down by laughing at it is one of the most valuable things I have learned in the 3 years I have been writing this comedy special. I want you to laugh because I have cried. I want you to smile because I always haven't. And I want you to enjoy this, not because I want in some sort of selfish way to lift myself higher, but instead to bring you to a pedestal that I've never, because I haven't just considered myself deserving of that pedestal. And that's why we're here tonight, to have a fucking laugh instead of dealing with the awful things of the political world, dealing with the awful things of a fucking virus going there and wrecking through reality. No, that's not what we want. We want to smile. We want to laugh. We want to have camaraderie and be friends. And that is one of the greatest glories of the internet. And that's why I say reflect on yourself so you can learn to laugh at it. Sorry, I realize I've probably been drinking too much and I'm getting a little preachy here.
It's okay. Real talk is real. Real talk is real.
Yes.
But that's one of the things that you're going to learn. And one of the most important things about this entire special is spite has health benefits. And I know this seems a little weird to say, but think about it. Honestly, as a person, spite. How often do you look at something and say, you're never going to do it. You can't make it. You can't be good enough. You aren't going to be good enough. You aren't going to ever be good enough. And then you say, fuck it. I'm going to do it just because they said I can't. I'm going to be better than them because I can. That is the world of spite. And that is the biggest benefit and the greatest gift you will ever have, is that capacity of being able to take what they said and do it better because fuck them. That's why spite matters.
Yeah.
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 Woo!
Fuck your rules. I do it my own way.
So now we reach the end of our special. I hope you all have really enjoyed Trash Opinions. I worked a very long time on it, and I know that it seems like it's jumped from point to point, but that's also how I am. You've gotten a brief ride on the crazy train that is my mentality, and I'm sure afterwards we can sit down and chit-chat with some of the audience to see how they felt, at least during the special. Lord knows that I've been doing enough talking. But I want to give you a couple of very, very brief momentary tips on your life before I go, because Lord knows I'm the best person in the world to give you life advice. I'm sitting here as a raccoon on the internet giving you life advice. Woo! But there's two rules that I abide by as a human being. Number one, hurt nobody. If you can get out of doing anything without anybody being hurt, feel free to go for it. Do it. Do the best you can. Be the best you can. And number two, don't be a dick. One of the most important things in the world I can ever impart onto other people, and it's why I do a lot of the things that I do, is trying to teach people, don't be a dick. You can do it. It's not that hard. Don't be a cunt to people.
You're here.
I will sit here and I was one of these people that would go on Twitter and there was a dude out there called the Gender Terrorist. Dude, lady, not quite sure what they were. They were they. But they were in this massive altercation with a bunch of far-right people that I had known. Other YouTubers, people that I had a relatively long and drawn-out conversations with. And they were outright rude to me from the beginning. They didn't want to talk to me for a lot of reasons, because mainly they were getting hammered on from all sides. And then they said, so what, are you going to just call me a dude and say fuck off? And I said, no, I would actually ask you what your pronouns are. And there's a reason that I did that. And it's a thing that a lot of people don't want to. We as a society have grown far past the concept of common courtesy and general reflection of the self, that we have not learned that the easiest way to interact with somebody is one ancient rule, and it's come from the fine air of the southern world. As you catch more flies with honey than you ever will with vinegar. And the reason for that is if you are nice to a motherfucker, you are much more likely to be able to change an opinion than have them turn to an ice cold wall. I have been Ichabod. This has been Trash Opinions, and I hope you join me in the dumpster again sometime.
Yay!
Fucking 3 years. God damn.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you, sweetie. That was wonderful.
That was amazing. I fucking love it.
Yeah, go Trash Panda!
Yeah.
And
It's like cute. It's like point after point after point. Like you're killing it. Like dear God, Jesus.
I'm very proud of you, sweetie. We had a lot of struggle tonight to get
Oh.
here, and we finally did it. You did it. I'm so proud of you.
'Cause
See,
fuck
I told you all
technology.
you needed was a little bit of hope.
Hope, yeah. Hoping not the 3 beers I down to get through this shit. Oh,
You could
goodness.
do it. All you had to do was sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to keep trying.
Oh,